Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our fantastic Week 3 game. This is ETF2L Premiership. This is going to be quite an interesting one, I think. This is MONGI mode versus Crever, or however that's going to be correctly pronounced. I am eepily. I'm joined alongside me with Nuze here, and we have Beta on production. How's it going?
It's going good, eepily. I'm looking forward to this game. It's been a while since I've seen a regular season game. This is my first cast in a long while, besides the preseason one we did not that long ago. Interesting matchup between Torret's team and the Frenchies here. I'm going to probably stick to those abbreviations of their names rather than calling them what they're actually called, MONGI mode and Crever, just because that's how we do. We're going to be starting off with Product and then going into Gully Wash. So, not really sure how to break this one down, but what are your opening thoughts, eepily?
My initial thoughts is, obviously, these are two teams we saw in the preseason playoffs. Actually quite important to note that in the entirety of the preseason playoffs, these teams, they never actually played each other. So it's a kind of teams where we've seen a little bit about how they play, but kind of in isolation from each other. So I think it's going to be interesting to see kind of how exactly they match up, especially on maps like Gully and Viaduct. Obviously, we know Viaduct is the only Koth map in the map pool. It's such a specific kind of format, it's a kind of map where kind of having good control, having good position can be really, really important, but it also opens up a lot of opportunities for some very individual play. And looking at these kind of two rosters, we have a lot of people that can make significant individual plays, regardless of their opponents, but especially in this kind of situation where it's, against slightly less established teams.
It's an interesting map as well because a lot of the fundamental rules that you would have in normal 5C PTF2, like something like if you're going to die, at least trade with someone, or it's good to trade like positively to kill two people if you die, that kind of thing. A lot of these rules don't really apply on Product. It's kind of a completely different map, and a lot of what it comes down to is how your team plays it and what strategy they have going into the map. Just before the cast, we were talking about some of the recent results for either of these teams. I had a look at the Frenchies, who have been playing other Prem opposition yesterday and as their warm-up today. Having a mixed bag of results, playing the Theorists quite a few times. And I haven't noticed anything too exceptional from those logs. On the other hand, for Torret's team, we do have all of yesterday they were playing against, I believe, Div 1 opposition, not Prem teams. We had some conjecture as to why that would be before the cast, but then as their warm-up today, they were playing against the other French Prem team, and they had some decent results, and they had a 3-1 win on Product. And traditionally, I think Yak's been quite a good Product main caller for his previous teams. Obviously, he had success with Professional Disney Fangirls, main calling for them, and that was their strongest map. So perhaps he can bring some of that into this team, and perhaps that's going to be their strength. But what are your thoughts on those warm-up games that we saw?
I think it's definitely interesting. I mean, obviously, if we can take a moment to provide some wider context, these are the only two teams in Prem right now which have 0 points. Granted, they've both been against some fairly decent teams. The Frenchies did play Theorists in week 1, Feint week 2, whereas the Torret team played Ascent and then Swift. So we've got the majority of the kind of, big teams being covered -7, and then Theorists, one of the kind of teams which came through after winning Div 1. So, I don't know, I think in terms of even games, this is going to be one of the, I would say it's going to be the most even games that we're going to see in terms of week 3 in Prem, but I think it comes down to like what you said. I think a lot comes down to the matchup here. We obviously have Yak demo for the Torret team, whereas we have Raf on demo for the Frenchies, and I think that's a really important comparison to make because Raf is more historically known as a soldier in terms of when he's been playing Prem before, and then even before that he was more well known for Medic, and we had a bit of a discussion about this in the preseason games. And he seemed, he seemed a competent demo, but I mean, Yak's been playing the class for hundreds more hours at this point. He has experience leading teams, especially like you said, on maps like Viaduct, and I think it's going to be interesting to see kind of how they match up because it might just be, experience is kind of leading the way.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, looking at the rosters, if you're talking about star power or general firepower, there's not many names in the Frenchies that stand out as being playmakers as much. We were talking about whether or not we're going to see some extravagant Putis plays from Olga, who's actually on heavy in pregame just now, after that thread he made on the forums about heavy replacing Pocket Soldier. But on the other hand, for MONGI mode, I think we've got some big fraggers. I mean, Opti, he's always been a star player, and anytime he's had big games to perform in, he's always come up and had big games as far as I'm aware. And then I quite highly rate Sui as well. I think he's capable of doing big things. And just for, again, a bit more wider context, I believe both these teams are on 0 points right now. Is that correct?
They are 100%. They're the only two teams in Prem to be on 0 points into week 3.
Absolutely. So there's all to be playing for here, because they're going to be wanting to avoid the relegation spots. Not going to want to, even if they're not sticking together for next season. I mean, it's really early to make those kind of predictions or assumptions, but no team wants to finish in the bottom 2 spots of Prem. Take it from me, it happened. It's not fun.
Not an enjoyable experience. I think like kind of player versus player, you've got to give the edge to our MONGI mode boys, the turret team, whatever you want to call them. But I still feel like there's some kind of magic the Frenchies can pull. Like we saw moments, kind of flashes of glory in terms of when we saw the Frenchies in the preseason games. We saw one fantastic clutch from Karnax. We saw a few kind of, really big plays where Raf would kind of take the team and just really push them forward and kind of make things happen. But it was kind of within a sea of, what's going on. Is this a pug team? What kind of issues are they having? Especially, it kind of felt like their medic Muller wasn't quite on the same page. I mean, they obviously now they've had a lot more weeks to work with, but I think it's going to be really hard. It isn't a great deal of time to fix what seem to be some fairly significant problems. And speaking just of problems, we do have the entirety of in-game chat lighting up as they're desperately trying to work out what server they want to play on. This is a classic Premiership TF2 right here.
Yep, we've got our first disconnect from the server. I guess he has been rejoining us, so I guess time will tell. The pre-game discussions based on what we had heard from Yak when we were looking for server info was that they were going to play one map on each server. I guess they're not decided now as to which map they want to play on which server. So there's talk of a heavy fist fight, which I'm sure Olga would love. But I think at the moment we're just waiting to see how this plays out. But we can talk a bit more about this matchup. I haven't seen how the Frenchies have changed in week 1 and 2 from the preseason game that we saw, but I would agree with what you said before. When we saw them in preseason playoffs, in that cast we did, Mula did look to be a bit out of sync from the rest of the team. Part of that I think is due to the maps, and I think Raf was not having a good time with just generally staying alive, which is quite important to do as demo in this meta. And I, especially on product, I think in the past, anytime, well, my take on it is demo's an important class to keep alive, pretty much always. But there are times where losing your life on demo in 5 CP can be worth quite a lot of the trade-offs that you can get for that, in terms of what you get for your team or what you get for another player, or just an advantage, whether it's sacking for the med. But I think on product, it's almost never a positive exchange to die on demo, regardless of what you get. It's almost always worth staying alive, just for the fact that you have stickies that can manipulate and do area denial throughout the map. So I would be looking out for Raf to make sure he's staying alive quite a lot, and if MONGI mode can put the pressure on him and keep him and Mula a bit disconnected, then I feel like that's going to play into their hands, and then potentially Yak's going to have a good time calling for them.
I think kind of what you said there in terms of keeping your demo alive, because it isn't just about the damage and it isn't just about the frags. I mean, we've seen in previous seasons, and I'm sure a lot of people have these experiences of seeing teams that will win more or less every scrappy DM fight in the long run, but they'll lose Viaduct because they don't get to the point in time, or they keep over fighting, or I don't know, micro mistakes can make all the difference on this map. And sometimes it feels like even though kind of a team can win elongated fights, suddenly a minute's gone, and then they lose a repush because they've been playing at a slight disadvantage. But I think we are actually going to commit to this heavy fist fight. Here we go. I don't know if this is the first one of Prem in this season, but it is Olga versus Thomas. They're doing it here on mid. I mean, you know, I feel like
I'm gonna
we
give
might
the
as
edge
well
to the
cast it.
scout main here, but they're neck and neck, one
Oh
hit
my
each.
god. This is absolutely brutal.
So tense.
I mean, Olga's been theory crafting this for years, but he loses. That's the taunt from Thomas as well. That's disastrous. I mean, how do you come back from a defeat like that?
Well, I don't know. The French is definitely now going to be on the moral low ground. They're going to be feeling pretty weak right now. They're going to need their spirits to be lifted. And actually, one thing to go back to proper pre-game analysis, one thing I don't think we've mentioned yet is, and again, I don't know how accurate this is, but from what I've heard, there's a bit of tilt potential on the side of MONGI mode, so that could play against them if the Frenchies can stay coordinated. I have played with Olga and Raf, and they aren't particularly tilty players. Raf is a little bit. I don't know about the rest of the Frenchies, but just looking at the lineup of MONGI mode, there's, I think, a bit more potential there for tilt.
Oh, I'm getting a little bit of info whispered into my messages right now. Apparently, we have some insider Frenchman info of Raf may not be playing Demo and Viaduct. He may well be on Soldier with Olga playing Scout and Alien Smiley playing Demo.
Okay. That's interesting.
It's very interesting. Apparently, he will still be playing Demo on our kind of standard 5CP maps, but he may well not be in terms of Viaduct. I mean, it makes sense from the Raf point of view. You know, he's more experienced on Soldier and, you know, especially kind of Roma in terms of Prem, but that's a lot of classes to be changing.
Yeah, actually,
one map, you know.
I guess we didn't pick up on this when we were looking at the logs, but that is true to what they were doing in the warm up, and I think it was true to what they were doing yesterday. So that's quite a spanner in the works. Raf, and again, this is from my experience with him playing on Velocity. I think he has quite a different idea about how to play Viaduct, or Product rather, on Soldier than I did. And I was talking about earlier about some of the principles of the map and how some of the fundamentals that would apply to 5CP don't apply to this map. I think there was a lot of that was kind of missing from Raf's game, but it still comes down to what we said at the start. It's much more about the team strategy than it is any individual plays. So any issues that I might have had in terms of strategy with Raf Soldier on this map, it could actually benefit the Frenchies depending on how they decide to play it. And how much have we seen of Alien Smiley on demo in actual officials?
I mean, unfortunately, I didn't see any of their game last week, so I'd say I didn't even pick up on the fact that they've got this roster changeover. I mean, they didn't actually win their Viaduct game anyway, but they were against a much better team. I believe they were against Feint. So, I mean, it's always going to be a rough situation, even in the kind of best of circumstances. But it definitely makes things interesting, right? It's definitely, especially doing this map 1, right? Because if they can win, especially with changing over of classes, mentally that gives them a big edge going into Gully Wash. You know, as much as people love the idea that, oh, it's a new map, you know, we can reset. Realistically, a lot of people are not that mentally disciplined. It can have a serious experience. Like, it's the same as what you said about kind of Olga with his heavy theory. If he can make heavy, like pocket heavy work, then that gets into your head when you're like, how are we losing to this? How is this happening? You know, people start like trying crazy things instead of trying what they know will work, but just ensuring they stay consistent. But either way, it doesn't matter. Ignore all of that stuff because we're going to be going into this game. This is ETF2L Premiership. This is week 3. Frenchies versus the Torrent team. I will ignore their actual names just for the time being. We have no sniper, no spy, nothing crazy to mid. We will be going here. Alien is on demo exactly as expected. So early damage onto Mula, so a little bit of passive play. Now, Deep Soldier is going to be going in, trying to get a lot of damage forward, but actually the entirety of the Frenchy team is backed up really, really far to point. This is actually going to be the first frag, but they trade with Raf, and this repush has to be on from the side of Olga and his merry gang of gamers. Focusing down Opti, but not before Opti gets one frag, and it is just trading the whole way here, but the position is all the way of the Frenchies. Not the Frenchies, the Tara team at this point.
Yeah, but it looks like the Frenchies are going to get the upper hand at the end of this. The start of the fight, they were playing with the scouts and demo playing very close to the beam, which kind of left their soldiers out to dry, but the unit of the 4 of them managed to make it work in the end. They picked up 2 late frags on actually Torret and Thomas, so they're going to try and not die here if they're playing it correctly, just preserve that Uber advantage. But the soldiers are coming in deep. They're trying to find the medic, but I don't think they can get onto him. Mula is quite safe in the house. They're going to clean up all those players. Turret spawning now, building with Tomas on about 30%, and it looks like the Frenchies are going to try and set up a forward hold.
That was really weird how it went from that mid into such a stable hold from Mula. Definitely we saw before Medic playing just slightly away from the rest of their team, but I think it's much better. But now the forward hold is going to have to be abandoned. Two frags immediately go the way of the turret team, and a third one now as well. So they do have the Uber on the side of the Frenchies, but not for too long if Yak's going to have his way. But no damage is going to be hit. They're going to conserve their Uber. It's a tiny little bit of advantage. Olga seems to want to go, but a little bit over aggressive now. Now he's going to be moving up towards point, trying to take some solo frags. He gets one before anything really happens too much. He starts to take some position towards point. It's going to be Tomas trying to fight him on point as well. He's going to go down with a soldier going deep to try and get the Uber off, and they will manage to force it. But, I mean, they're losing a lot of players. We already have a minute down on the clock. It's going to be a pretty hard repush up until these soldiers come up on the MONGI mode side. You actually have, again, a little bit of a forward hold. Some frags going the way of the Frenchies again, and the Uber gets popped off from Raph on main. So, looking pretty good for them. They will be backing up on the point, and actually it's only really one frag that's going to go in. Oh my god, Alien just about manages to live and is getting so scrappy towards point. It's going to be a 3 versus 4, but they heals it up on the French side. The scout's going to come in late. Swede getting some mad work done, and it's going to be Olga and Duo versus a singular Tomas, but they still have control of the point. They're just counting down the timer. I mean, it's going to be pretty hard at this point, especially with this repush coming in. As long as Tomas is patient, plays with the rest of his team, plays with his heals, this should be a fairly easy repush as they take this position towards point. Raph doesn't want to give it up. A little bit of a jump, taking some position, but nope, this is going to be our first sensible hold from the looks of things on the side of MONGI mode. So they've got their stickies, they've got their position, they're going to be taking some decent control of point, but the pressure from the Frenchy side is just looking far better. They're not really getting pressure towards point, they're getting all this time. Now only losing one, and the repush is on. Yeah, Yax is all the way across point. They're getting so much damage forward. Oh my lord, Optis is absolutely destroying, and the only saving grace is Mula surviving, but no! The scout chases all the way to spawn and takes down such an important frag from Sui there that almost going to make it worth doing this solo cast here. I'm not quite sure where my co-caster's gone. I'm sure he'll be back in just a moment. Just you wait. In the meantime, we do have a significant 92% advantage for the side of MONGI mode here. So again, they're going to be playing super passive. You see Torret all the way back here on Cliff. He's going to be so far away. It's going to allow the Frenchies some position on the point, but Yak is giving no ground here. Uber does get forced in so much time. They very nearly lost a point, but absolutely nothing there. Raph has gone behind to try and make something happen. Yak's actually over-chased a little bit, losing his life here. So, oh my god, these frags are just going everywhere. They're taking this so scrappy. This has to be an opportunity for the Frenchies to move forward. Play as a unit, maintain your buffs, and deal with this one soldier, and then the next one, and then the next one. I feel like this really should be an opportunity, but instead, they're not going for the repush. They're a little bit kind of, a little bit scared. So I guess they're thinking, you know, they have some decent point down. They can play the advantage. They don't have to be over the top in terms of their aggression. Now, the Uber is ready to go. It is about a 90% advantage. Taurus again playing super far away, losing Olga to stickies. Isn't going to make things easy in Alien as well. I mean, it's all great having the Uber, but if you're never going to use it to save your players, it's not really going to do anything. And I mean, that 90% advantage is just only now getting used, but not before Dwarf goes down as well. So it's going to be Raph and Karnax trying to get forward, trying to make something happen. They will actually pick up Torret though. And this just seems so confusing that they've been playing so far forward. And I mean, they want to kind of give up this opportunity, but Mula, oh my lord, Mula's actually dodging every little bit of spam, and this is kind of starting to work for us now. So I think these scrappy fights are actually starting to go the way of the Frenchies. They're maintaining position on point, they're maintaining control, and it's going to be only about 30 seconds left to go. Uber won't be up in time in terms of turret. They have to try and walk forward in a kind of off-Uber situation. Alien getting some decent damage forward, getting some decent position. These stickies towards point might be crucial. Graph bombs in to try and make something else happen here. We do actually have, ooh, possibly a co-caster coming back with me just at the end of this first round, but this is so scrappy. This is 5 versus 5. It's going to be 6 seconds left to go. These frags are going all the way to Frenchies. It's only really Yak on point right now, and they do have just enough time to kind of try and make some of this happen. It's going to be so much cap time, but so scrappy. I mean, surely if Mula escapes here, the repush has to be just the easiest thing in the world here. Nuze, are you back with us? Talk
I
to
am
me.
back. I am active on my 4G tethered through a USB cable because my router is updating, but that's not important now. We do have Mula on 97%, going to meet up with the rest of the team. They're going to be looking to take this one in. Only the spawner coming in now. Sui is still dead, so this is looking good for the Frenchies. As long as they can get some point pressure here. They're going to get the cap time. I don't know if MONGI are going to be able to do anything to test it. The Uber comes out, they cleaned up the first track. And there goes the first round.
That's exactly what they needed there. I mean, it looked like as long as Mula could get out, you know, maintain that Uber advantage, just walk on forward. And, I mean, it's happening. I think that first round is really crucial here. We kind of, you know, we raised those questions about classes in the pregame, but they just seem to have a lot of control here.
Well, from the 90 seconds bit that I did see, it was pretty close going into this mid. Now, we're going to see passive position from the Frenchies. Karnax and Duo playing back on the right. Soldier bombing in deep again. Same aggression as last time. Duo's actually gone behind it as well. Mula dying really early to Swede. This is going to play into MONGI Mode's hands. They've protected Tort as well. He did go weak from Duo's bomb. Karnax and Alien both going to try and do something from Cliff, but they're both going to be really weak and they're going to get cleaned up. Alien actually staying back. Olga dying late, and this is looking good for Tort's team.
I think it's definitely really interesting to see how MONGI Mode are playing in terms of these kind of equal Uber or kind of little bit Uber advantage plays. Tart's playing really, really far back on Cliff, trusting in Yak to try and get this damage to deny them on point, and trusting like the use of the Uber to be able to save Yak before he's dying. So again, they have this Uber, Tart playing really far back. They're almost conceding a certain amount of cap time, trusting that they're going to try and overextend these Frenchies, and so far it's working just absolute wonders right now.
Yeah, and they've really pressured. As soon as they realised that Mula had committed there, they were going to commit multiple fragging classes to punish them, and they got good results from the efforts. Olga and Mula both dying there, the rest of the Frenchies not able to commit forward. They're checking around by Cliff now. I don't know if they think there's someone behind, but only now is the spawners from the Frenchies going to be able to come back to point. They've got decent cap time, but still a massive Uber advantage for MONGI Mode.
I almost kind of like this this knife edge that MONGI Mode are playing on here. They're allowing them to get just enough cap time to kind of force them towards point, but exact worst thing you want to have happen there, dropping your demo and then the entire rest of the team. So that's actually a cap for the Frenchies and forcing off the Uber. It is just one soldier trying to go deep, and he will pick up Mula. Again, a little bit of a situation where that didn't seem particularly necessary, losing your medic there. A little bit kind of an earlier call, and that could have made things happen. And I mean, with Tart living there as well, this repush, it should be, you know, basically nullifying this entire French victory just to about 25 seconds. Soldier in now! Oh, nice little surf from Tart, and he is going to live as well. Picking up Alien as on top of everything. I mean, this round, it seems fairly firmly in the control of MONGI Mode.
Yeah, it was a bit of a yikes for them to drop two of their players and have kind of a bad pop while the Frenchies were running away, but they managed to get the medic frag after the Frenchies had capped, so that made the difference because the spawn wave played into their advantage and they had the player advantage going in for the repush. Similar thing coming out now, we see the Frenchies just walking onto the cap. They need to be careful not to die now, but they're taking so much damage. They actually get the frag onto Sui. They might get Opti as well. He's going to have a little 1v1 with Karnax in the back as the blue soldier jumps out again. But not too much going on just now. They're going to tease a fight on point. 90% for Mula. He's not quite got Uber yet. Alien taking some damage as well. Not good health for the Frenchies. Looks like this is favouring.
That was so confusing. I mean, yeah, the damage was dealt, but I think actually Karnax got the force health after basically doing no damage. So this is a much, much better Uber. They've already taken down Yak, and Tart's going to be running all the way out main. So really, at this point, no other frags matter. And I think the Frenchies are aware of that. You see them take this position towards point. You see both their soldiers taking this opportunity to get a buff because, hey, Vardak is a hard enough map on soldiers as it is. Let's get it 300 at least for when this repush comes in. Yeah,
they're having both teams launching one soldier forward. Blue soldier's going to come back in, lands onto Alien, gets so much damage for his rockets, but he will end up dying for it. 3 players down for the Frenchies, and it looks like Torres team are just going to flood across point, pick up the frag onto Olga. Mula and Karnak will be able to make it out alive with a slight Uber advantage, but that shouldn't play into it too much. The biggest thing on their favour right now is their spawn advantage. Matt and Joseph are both down just now, so they're going to want to get them to point before any stickies are anywhere near them, and it looks like that's exactly what they're doing.
They were a little bit late in terms of getting their heals forward. Again, miscommunication, Mula just going the wrong way, and hey, you know, it doesn't seem like much at the time, but that does actually slow them down a little bit. So they're losing duo here. looks like this bomb as well is going to go really deep and actually do a lot of damage. You see these flank players from the Frenchies is really, really bad health here. So on this repush, I mean, they've got 5 versus 6, and Opti's just causing havoc on the back lines. It basically means there's not really anything they can do. They have to hide in this position behind house, and you see how far back Müller's playing. They know that this is a little bit dodgy up until they get this first frag. As soon as that happens, and the second one as well, now they're in a position. You see them moving towards point, taking this kind of height, and really, yeah, Turret knows this is basically done for, but Mathers just jumps in seemingly into 5 of them and takes down Müller.
2 great rockets there. Nice one to set up the direct to secure the frag. And Frontiers now flooding forward to try and get onto Turret, but he's going to be 23 HP as his team protects him from everyone. Karnak's the last one to die there. Just as the Frenchies were advancing, I want to make a quick point that Raf and Karnak made 2 quite good individual plays. Raf picked up on the fact that there was damage onto Opti as he was backing out, and he jumped in deep and connected 2 decent rockets. And Karnak was won a scout 1v1 on the right hand side. So that created the opening, but again, they kind of, it seems like the way they're faltering is when they're trying to aggress as a team. They're not doing it with as much as a unit as they should be.
This damage is actually really, really good. I mean, you saw how early they managed to get Turret to force there, so the coordinated spam is good, but even still, there's not a lot of time. They can't play too far back, and losing Müller now, and with all this damage to begin with, all really Turret and Thomas have to do is just keep healing, keep kind of playing towards point, and they know that the Frenchies have to get on it. There's a little bit of cap times, not really going to be sufficient to last kind of spawn after spawn after spawn, and I think this is going to make it 1-1.
Looks like it. So kind of back and forth throughout that run, but for the most part, Turret's team had kind of the foot of control. They were the ones that it was their round to lose essentially, and they managed to keep control for the most part. There was about a minute left for the Frenchies on the timer towards the end there. It seems like they've just not been doing a great job of keeping Müller alive when they need to.
No, and it's so important keeping your medic alive there. So this time, this is going to be on their mind, playing on it. Duo going down super early, so his flank is a little bit open. Soldier, again, going deep. A lot of damage forward. Mathers, way kind of weaker than anyone near him. But he's actually able to get so much. He picks up the demo before really anyone's able to know he's there. And granted, you know, the rest of his team, they're having some more difficult times. But some of these individual players, Mathers seems to more or less be invisible for the enemy team. I would advise checking their monitors at this point because, I mean, it didn't matter there, but the amount of times where you've seen him pick up medics here and there is kind of crazy. So repush is now on. The second they cap it, moving forward, Frenchies, yeah, taking so much damage again. Müller having to use just about 50 years before Turret. They did lose Thomas in this, but it's not really going to matter too much, especially with how quick these spawns are going to be. Deep chases pick up Müller and Karnax as well, and it's basically everything they could have possibly asked for. Only now is there the risk of Turret, and he might actually...
Nice, sir.
Yeah,
Landing on the rock. Just Alien left alive. Now, it was really nice at the end of the mid there, so the mistake that the Frenchies have been making of not being able to get their med out, Turret seemed to not make the same mistake. They managed to get Yak, a scout, and Turret out towards the end of the mid. Alien was a late death on the mid, so when they were repushing, the spawn advantage favoured them. They were going 6v5 essentially against a team without stickies and without a demo, and they managed to make it work in the end.
You see this focus of the French side now. The second they kind of saw exactly how Toro is playing, they're focusing this point time so much more. And I mean, they trade a lot of frags, but it is actually going to be a case of... No! I'm so sorry. Opti just jumps in again. People are not looking on the French side. Every opportunity they have to make something happen. I thought that was going to be a free point take, you know, trading some frags and just kind of get straight on. But, I mean, they lose their medic. Yak's going to try and go forward a little bit ahead of his team, but as long as they can keep healing, I mean, it should be another situation where just having all this uber advantage, having the hills up is just going to allow them the point. And, you know, what did they do? All of that fighting, the Frenchies managed to kind of exchange that for about 12 seconds of point time. Yeah,
and now with 80% of your Uber advantage, it looks like they're kind of committing Müller. He's quite far forward, so they're going to need to try and get onto Turret. But Yak is just going to take this Uber forward. He's walking in with Tomas. They've got good pressure onto Alien. Somehow he doesn't die on 6 HP. So many of the Frenchies players are really weak right now. They get the trade frag onto Joseph. Müller on the top, he's actually quite safe playing about where China is, and he's going to meet up with Soldier and Scout. That spawn advantage is going to play into their favour now. If they can link up with Olga once he spawns, they can keep the pressure going forward as the stickies are not there for Turret's team to slow them down. They've also got about a 30% advantage, so it's up to them to take the point here without losing any players. But again, Matt is going to come in for Müller. Opti's going to follow up and get the frag.
Lord.
The star powers, the individual players are just doing far too much against the Frenchies here. They're doing nothing to shut down these soldiers.
They're really not. Yeah, the soldiers from the monkey mode side are just, they seem to be able to do more or less whatever they want. Joy's trying to kind of, you know, put a line in the sand. He's getting so much damage on the turret. Turret will actually die, so the first kind of a little bit of something happening in terms of this round for the Frenchies. They managed to take control of point. They have their heals up now. They know that turret's going to be dead. All the damage they do is basically permanent, but they have to play smart around the heals. They can't let these soldiers in. And once again, Matthias is just going to jump in. 2 rockets. Lula's down again. Get back in the spawn.
And they are going to clean up the frags, but if Torret is alive, they're going to have a healthy Uber advantage here, especially because the spawns are slow once you have that point. Thomas is playing quite close to the corner here, as Karnax was quite overextended. No one else on the Frenchy side able to support him, so that's a really bad death for the Frenchy side. They've got about a 35% disadvantage. Alien and Raph, it looks like, are playing quite close as the medic joins them now. But they're not going to have too many heals going into this. Raph's going in deep, but he's going to take so much damage and have to back out. The duel as well. A good focus fire here from Torret's team as they just pick apart the people that are overextending, but they actually lose 2 frags.
That's going to make things much harder in this repush, and so they do have about a 35% advantage, but they're just only going to get their demo up in about another 2 or 3 seconds, so they're going to be playing on a bit of an edge in terms of this Uber. It is enough, but they do have to kind of, you know, go pretty deep with this. They need to make sure that they pick up Mula and to completely deny this repush. So Uber gets used. Nice little surf from Mula, might just about survive. So much damage, but Opti cleans it up at the end with a second one and a third as well. It's absolutely crazy how much these soldiers are doing, and I mean, I thought that might be a little bit iffy. I thought the Frenchies may have picked up on their mistakes, but again, Mula goes down, Torret staying alive, building up more and more advantages, and it's 1 minute 12 on the clock. There's enough time to possibly, you know, both teams get Uber, go for some exchanges, but even so, it's starting to get to that point where the aggression has to come out from the Frenchies. They have to make some things happen. This is going to be what they're doing. They're focusing their players towards point. Yak, so much damage, taking down Karnax, and just, you see the rest of these players. Alien, Raph, whoa, he was super weak, and the deep bomb from Mathis is going to pick up Alien, so they have no demo on this push as well. And Mathis is still just jumping around, distracting their entire team. The focus is so much better. They have just complete dominance over this point. It's crazy.
There's so much more space for Torret's team. There's people that are forward, and the people that are back have the space and health to contribute to the fight without taking on too much risk. But the Frenchies, like, I think the biggest thing that seems to be screwing them over essentially is it doesn't seem like there's always one scout that's with the medic, whereas for Torret's team, if Thomas isn't there, Sui is there. It looks like now Karnax and Olga are going to be looking to go forward, but Torret does have that Uber. He's just going to come in with Mathis. Gets juggled, so he won't be able to follow. Mula with a nice surf away, and Joseph's going to dive in there to see if he can get that frag onto the medic. Going to clean up Olga. They're going to clean up Alien as well. Mula made it out alive, but it's not going to be any Uber advantage.
Oh my god, Torret! How did he possibly live there? He just had 2 French players just go super deep, solely focusing on that frag, and it just didn't happen. And that's kind of a metaphor for this game in general. Other than that first round, it's just been so close, but just not getting it right at the end. These tiny little mistakes, and I mean, they're trying to get to point now, but they have so much to do here. You see how much damage is being dealt. They're getting a couple frags, but the refrags are coming in. The cleanup's happening. Mula's on know-how. The tour is going to be all on just, yeah, Mula now. Nothing's going to happen. That's going to take it 2-1 for MONGI mode, and I think the reverse sweep might be happening.
Yeah, they're looking quite comfortable here. I would say more and more comfortable each round. And there's really not an answer for these soldier bombs. I think the Frenchies either need to change up something what they're doing about their aggression, but especially having someone play around Mula, because it doesn't seem like that's happening at all. At least not a scout. Alien's doing a good job of staying close, but it's not quite enough.
It really kind of, at this point, it's one of their biggest problems, and it's something which they just can't kind of keep letting happen. But on terms of this mid, we have a lot of damage coming out. Yak and both the soldiers moving all the way across point. These frags, in terms of the outside of the fight, it's going to be just Opti and Thomas just kind of surging forward. Opti's actually chasing his medic all the way to spawn. He's 1 arrow away from death, and thank God Mula will manage to pick him up there. So it was only going to be a little bit of a disadvantage for the Frenchies, but that first cap goes to MONGI mode, and you know, that first cap is so important on Viaduct. That first kind of 30-40 seconds, especially in a position where you have the Uber as well, you can delay so long.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is because Mula wasn't building, and I think Torret will be aware of this. They're going to dive forward with Thomas. They've got damage onto Mula, but he's playing around the corner. Can they clean up the back?
That's so good. That's
very nice play.
Good.
from MONGI mods to recognize that Uber advantage and that he wasn't building. They're just going to look to try and clean up Alien now, and the Soldier of Wrath as well. Karnax is kind of overcommitted, but they're not going to worry too much about that frag. So really comfortable position for MONGI mode. Nothing that the Frenchies could do there after they'd committed Mula without the Uber.
It's such a confidence play because they knew that Mula got out by themselves, so it was, you know, exactly like I said, there wasn't healing properly and definitely not anything close to building, and that 20% was all they needed. Now they have Uber advantage. This time they gotta, you know, you can see Torres playing a little bit further forward. They're even moving towards point now because they can't let them tickle the point. That's how they've been losing precious seconds even if they've been winning rounds, and this time you see the damage is so much better. The amount of frags and just kind of, I don't know, pressure they're putting in this entire flank. Opti's even able to jump in and actually pick up Raph as well. They just seem to have complete, total free reign, and now the Uber's up. We have better spawns on the side of the Frenchies, but they have to get some kind of Uber trade as well as kind of getting through all this pressure, and even then they have to repush before they make anything happen, and we're already halfway through the time.
They need someone to take the pressure off of Mula. He has too many people to heal and too many people taking damage. We either need to see Raph or Do get behind, but it looks like, again, they're going to get caught by this Uber advantage. Or sorry, rather, in an Uber exchange, but it looks like it's favouring MONGI mode. They've got Olga isolated behind, they've cleaned up Duo on the flank. Olga's surely going to die as long as someone can get onto him. Math is going to try and aggress, but they're really just pressuring the Frenchies back. There's nothing they can do to get on point here, as Olga does die at the end of that.
I mean, you can see they're playing behind the point, but they have control of the point itself. Only now the pipe's coming out from Alien, trying to make something happen. Karnax going for, tries to get something. He will actually pick up some very important players there. Torat and Mula both still alive here right now, and they're both on about 50%, so Ubers aren't really going to be a question yet, but you can see they're still counting down the time. The Frenchies, they had to delay in terms of their spawners, but it's precious seconds. I mean, they just only now started the timer ticking down, and this is going to be, I mean, it's a tiny bit of advantage for the Frenchies, but I think they might just have to go off it. They might just have to go deep because it's going to be really hard to hold this for 3 minutes otherwise. They get the Uber, it's about 20%, but it doesn't look like they have that confidence of the MONGI mode team before. They don't quite have that same read, and it's actually going to be a sack wave. Super late coming in. They're going to force out this Uber, and you see Torres so far gone. I mean, one good repush wins the game here.
And that was really nice. They even got one frag for their efforts, but the spawn wave is going to be coming in so quickly. It's pretty much going to be a 5v5 fight by the time MONGI mode get to the point, but they're going to have that full Uber advantage, and there's one less soldier that's going behind to worry about. So as long as Yak can get in with his scouts in front of him, they should be able to clean up frags here, and that's exactly what they need to be going for. Frags over position or anything else.
I think at this point, Mula's death at possibly the tail end of this Uber is just how you absolutely lose rounds, basically. It's 2 frags, really good so far. A lot of damage in main. Olga's going to be going down. Mula's going to die as well. I mean, all of these players are being forced towards spawn. There's no one might just about get out alive. They've recapped here. They have position. They have players. They have Uber advantage now. I mean, it has to be such an absolutely perfect repush from the French side that it's, you know, damn near impossible at this point.
And I reckon these sticky traps are going to get a kill or 2 from Yak. So as the Frenchies are trying to walk towards point here, they're still getting pressured back by Spam, really. Matt saving his bomb, but he's coming in now, kind of distracted by actually cancelling on that. Tomas going to fight with Swede, both of them cleaning up the scouts. Raph going in, but he's going to take a lot of damage. Duo is the only one really in a position to do anything, but he dies instantly on point. Mula going to shoot some crossbows from China, but that is going to be as much as she wrote for this one.
It is. Looks like it's going to end up 3-1 for the side of MONGI mode here, and I mean, you can't argue they didn't deserve it. After that first round, you know, I thought, you know, going into this, I thought the Frenchies might have some kind of magic on offer. I thought, you know, especially with the change in classes, that's interesting. We can see what happens here, but I mean, after that first round was out of the way, it was just all control the way of MONGI mode. It was just absolute, like, I don't know, it was these same kind of problems we saw from the Frenchies in terms of preseason. Mula just seems to be either not quite positioned right, or, you know, someone's not quite calling right, or the players aren't quite playing around their medic properly. Or possibly it's just a combination of all of it. Either way, you can't expect to win games when your medic's dying that much every time there's a push.
Yeah, and honestly, it's really, I don't think, much of Mula's fault. I think there's something at the core of how they're playing this as a team where they're too reliant on getting heals and being able to continue fighting. Like, there's not really any cycling of the heals. There's not people that are away on the flank, playing for health kits and just not really committing to fights. It seems like Mula always has 5 people to heal, and that's not going to work against a team where you have soldiers jumping behind, you have scouts going a bit more aggressive on the flank, you have sack waves coming in regularly. There's just so much more pressure on Mula than there is on Torret, and I think they played it really well, Torret's team, to be able to create that scenario. And we didn't see any kind of adaptation from the Frenchies. They got worse. Well, I wouldn't say they got worse, but Torret's team got better and more comfortable as the rounds went on, because they were able to continue doing what worked for them in the past and just push the strategy even harder and refine what they were doing.
It definitely seemed like these opportunities to kind of pressure on point and start kind of tickling that cap, it kind of worked really well up to a point for the Frenchies. They could kind of get about 50 to kind of 75% of the time, but by the time it got to that kind of 2/3 cap, they'd have about 3 or 4 players playing on point, and Yak would just have an absolute field day, because by that point, Torret would have recognized it, he would have dropped down a point, he'd be pumping heals into his demo, and they would just deal so much damage every single time. It kind of seemed like they kept playing this bait to kind of bait the Frenchies forward to start, thinking they can tickle the point for free, but they just kept kind of coming back with a punish. And like you said, there wasn't really that adaptation of, okay, something isn't quite happening here. Maybe we send someone, kind of deep to try and deal with this demo when he doesn't have his medic with him, or, try to do something different. But it seems to be definitely like, Viaduct wasn't quite the map for them here. So I think it's going to be interesting going into Gully Wash. We do have some logs to look at here. So I do believe, as always, it is Viaduct. It's a very scout-friendly map. We do see, Sui and Thomas, 28 frags apiece. Thomas going 28 for 10 is that? That's kind of filthy.
And, the names that I pointed out at the start, Opti and Sui, 28 frags. Thomas as well. It looks like Thomas was playing a bit more beam. But I think what Opti and Sui were doing, as we were saying, to play with lower heals and to play more aggressive, like their death count is higher than Thomas, but I think them as the flank players were doing a good job of keeping that pressure, so that the Frenchies always have to be turning their heads and thinking, not only is there a medic and an Uber and a demo and a scout in front of me, there's a soldier behind us somewhere, there's a scout that's running at my medic. They're constantly having to worry about it. Mula's constantly trying to change who he's healing, and it was just a really good effort from, I think, especially Opti and Sui. And credit to Mathis as well. He did a good job of being sort of the entry at a lot of these pushes, going in with really high bombs and just taking eyes.
Yeah, he seemed to just kind of, maybe it wasn't even kind of recognizing opportunities, maybe it was just creating opportunities. He seemed to kind of make things happen from seemingly thin air. And between him and sometimes some of these kind of double distraction bombs with Opti, it was everything that their team needed them to do almost all the time in that second half of the map. So definitely they've worked really, really well around their soldiers. And obviously, in terms of the logs, we've talked a lot about the medics, but 6 deaths on Torret to 17 on 17. Mula. Those are numbers telling, which I think speak for themselves, really.
Absolutely. Those are the single difference of any two stats in these logs that mean the most will be those two. And again, it's not down to Mula's individual performance. Like, he had some decent moments, like he protected himself when Opti was in his face. So it didn't seem like he had a particularly bad game. To Torret, credit where credit's due, he actually had a pretty good game and some decent dodges on a few different occasions. So partially, I'm gonna hypothesize that that's partly because if you're playing in a controlled environment where you know what to expect from your team, you can perform better as an individual. But I feel like Mula did not have that luxury at any point in that first map.
I think, I don't know. I kind of I feel like Viaduct is as Viaduct is, kind of going into Gully Wash, there might be that opportunity to think, okay, that's Koth, things are weird, you don't always get the best practice in terms of Koth maps, you don't always, especially in terms of working on things in between seasons, there's not always a lot of teams which want to be playing Koth. A lot of people just want to play 5CP because, those are maps which just people kind of understand better, maybe some of them they just enjoy it better, whatever. So I think Gully Wash may be an opportunity to see something different from the Frenchies. We saw them do some interesting things kind of here and there in the preseason. We saw, again, sometimes they'd look like they're just kind of losing control in terms of pushes. Other times they'd look really quite strong. And on the side of MONGI mode, we've seen some definitely really interesting things. We were talking a little bit in pregame about their first map of the season versus Ascent on Snakewater. They did lose, but it was a 5-4 loss. And I mean, looking at Ascent's roster compared to, the kind of roster of these teams, you'd expect that to be quite a confident win. And yet there's definitely some kind of magic they can bring out here. I think it's going to be a little bit less clear-cut in terms of this, this map.
And I think there's something, when we were talking about the tilt potential early on, there's definitely a thing to be said for teams that have some kind of they've invested in how highly they rate themselves. So when they're playing, as we discussed about their warm-up games and their scrims of yesterday, they're playing opponents that are of a lower skill than them, and it means that you don't have to worry about too much. You can not worry about losing when you want to win. Granted, there might be some downsides to losing rounds to people that are worse than you, but the point I'm trying to get at is after winning map 1 here, they're going to be feeling confident and feeling like they're the better team. So going into this map, they're going to feel like they should be winning it. But whereas this map probably isn't going to present a lot of the same kind of challenges for the franchise as Product does, being a Koth map, I think it's reasonably likely to assume that they're going to be in the driver's seat for the start, Torrets team. But if they face some adversity and they start to lose rounds, I think you could quite quickly see them tilt, because they're going to be thinking, oh no, we're starting to lose against the team that we just beat, against the team that we think we're better than. And for a lot of players that haven't had a lot of tenure at the highest levels of the game or have played in very competitive teams, that can get to you and it can affect your performance quite a lot. So whereas on the other side of things for the franchise, they're going to be thinking, you know what, guys, we just lost a map. We wanted to do better, but we still got a chance to get some points here. They've got nothing to lose, really. No pride is at stake after that first map being lost.
Especially with the fact that they're obviously now in different classes as well, so it's a little bit almost easier to kind of get that clean slate,
a fresh start. Yeah,
exactly. And I think okay, how about quick question? I think they're going to ready up fairly quickly. In terms of going from last map to this one, what do you think needs to be significantly different for the French side? And importantly, which players do you think need to step up a little bit?
I think what needs to be different is having a scout playing around the medic. And I think you're going to be seeing that with Alien Smiley. I'd expect him to be playing a little bit closer. I'm assuming, or actually is Karnax the pocket scout? I'm not too sure. In any case, I feel like the roles are going to be more clear cut, whereas the scouts on Product kind of wanted to run around and frag a lot. I think they're going to want to play with the beam here because it's less of a scout playground in 5CP. And I actually thought Alien was doing a decent job on demo on Product, and I would hope Raf can keep that consistent. If that goes to plan and Olga is able to perhaps get some banners going well in stalemates, then I think they've got enough to take this map.
Well, let's see if they can manage to make it happen. This is ETF2L Season 32, Week 3. This is Crever versus MONGI mode, also known as Torrets team and the Frenchies. So going into this mid, turns out Olga's heavy tactics not coming into it just yet, but you have all 6 Raptor classes. Early aggression in terms of getting stings onto Raf, and actually Mula's died to stickies already on this mid. So Yak making it count, getting his second frag of the mid, and then it's going to be going so deep the French side to try and deal with Turret here, but he's dodging, he's diving, he's getting a soldier. Nice little crispy rocket from Olga, and hey, that's the only frag they got that mid, but it's the only one they really needed after those first 10 seconds.
And it's a late death as well. You know, I'd really love to see some crits, but I feel like that just never happens. So Mula is going to be on Uber. It looks like second is going to be taken as well for MONGI mode, but because the Frenchies have heals, they should be in a position to move out here. But interestingly enough, Opti is actually under the point, and I don't think they have checked that or are aware of it. Mappis is going to be peeking from River. I think he just got spotted there, trying to get some attention, and Opti is just ready to play the point if the Frenchies decide to push out here.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of frag on Alien here. Actually, it's double soldiers going in deep, but the medic's already in spawn now, so there should be a case of really just these players dying late, and it will be Actually, 2 frags apiece. And you see all this position. Torret and his scouts managed to get through main. There's no Ubers up at all, and they're playing for the low ground, but they're actually getting frags. That's kind of crazy. They're actually going to pick up a 3rd one and a 4th one. It's just one lonely soldier all on point by himself, and there's going to be not really anything he can do.
Amazing focus fire there at the tail end of the fight. I love that a lot of the times when you see people playing behind or playing in a hiding position, they're committing for something like a point play or to go for the medic, and this it wasn't just a solo play. They made a team effort where Mathis was spamming and then jumped in as an entry, and then Opti came in as the second, and then they won the 2 frags and decided to commit to the fight, and they had much better focus fire to win that, so really well played from MONGI mode.
I think this time they're a little bit more aware of this pressure towards Big Door. Dwo jumping actually in really early, gets some nice rockets towards Torret, but the damage isn't quite there to follow up, and now pressure's a little bit more on the side of the Frenchies. Raph, he's already in choke with his medic, so they have to repush forward enough. Opti getting the jump, but this deny from Alien is so good. So now things aren't looking quite so good for the MONGI mode side. These scrappy fights happening on the floor, but Karnix is going to win that. Tomas trying to beast forward and get some damage on this demo, but he's not going to clean up the frag. As long as the Frenchies can focus fire here, that's going to be the all-important bit, and he's actually not before Raph goes down. So they will win the mid, but they lose their demo here. And there was almost just, there's that one little moment to have such a more comfortable mid-win, but they're actually going to try and move through a choke here. We do have Yak and his soldier already in some position here, so they're going to convert this into a little bit of a stack here. One rocket and Torret isn't actually going to use, so I like that play though. I like that cancel from the Frenchies, kind of, you know, move that kind of off Uber, kind of, you know, dry push, try and take some position into a sack. It was very smooth, much nicer than what we kind of saw in Viaduct.
Yeah, and now it looks like Mathis is going to come in for the counter stack, get some decent rockets off, but not really any significant pressure on the Frenchy side. Flank's actually quite open. Opti and Sui were kind of pressuring. Ooh, good rockets from Olga there. Karnix to come in, helps clean up, and gets a great 2-shot onto Sui. Really good flank play from the Frenchies. They're going to get a duo in behind, who's probably going to clean up Tomas. Really good play from the Frenchies. They get the force out from Torret, and they've got no pressure on themselves whatsoever, so let's see what they can do with this.
Yeah, I mean, there's absolutely nothing they can really do with that Uber, and Karnix is even going to escape, and he's still buffed. That's absolute, that's filth, that's absolute degeneracy, unacceptable, can't allow it to happen. They have full Uber now, and they just have their pick here. They can go Shutter, they can go River, they can do absolutely whatever they want. It's only really going to be Sui on Heavy and this Pyro playing super close on Shutter. Now there's an opportunity to try and do something, and it is going to be actually the Scout almost kind of being hung out to dry, but 2 frags are going to come in. There is a bit of a position they can take here. They have some kind of opportunity. Mathis is trying to make something happen, trying to kind of get this pressure. He's actually doing really well. He's not even taking that much damage. The soldier's now jumping towards point, but is it too little, too late? I think it might just be.
And it looks like they're just going to have to back out here with a 40% advantage for MONGI mode. Actually, I think the most important frag was Torret's crossbow that he spammed towards the Shutter and cleaned up Olga with, because they didn't have someone to go forward. As they're now taking the Uber in out from lower, they get onto Mila straight away. That's the only frag they're going to care about, because that's all they really need, and they're just going to go straight to the point. Raph is going to dive in here, not going to get anything for his efforts. Olga goes to die as well from behind Alien, the last one of the 3. So now they're just walking in. They even go down, drop down to pick up Duo, who was hiding, and it looks like there was perhaps one in the forward spawn as well, but they're going to be denying at least one spawner here, and going to keep pushing forward onto second with the super advantage. So very well played from MONGI mode throughout that.
I mean, I agree with that decision in terms of going big door fast, because the denying the camp doesn't matter that much as long as Yak can keep control of it with stickies. Good God, that was an impossible sentence to say, but we do have a little bit of advantage here from Torret. I feel like they want to build it. I feel like they're feeling themselves, and they're just going to be aggressive with this. You know, it's 20%, they're building like absolute madmen towards River. I feel like some kind of deep jump here, because if Mula can get caught out again towards a shuttle, if they could even take Raph down on point, this spam towards the gun is really, really good. I mean, they're doing their due diligence. Look how sync those rockets are. And they're going to be Ubering in with a 10% advantage. The Scouts can be running all the way behind point to try and deal with this demo. It's such an important frag if he does get it, but there's a soldier playing with him. Point is now open, and this Uber comes out from the French side. I mean, scattering is the entire goal of the side of MONGI men, but they get 2 frags alongside it. What an overextension from the Frenchies, and they just have no position towards point at all. And, I mean,
Mathis did a great job there. He was in River as the Uber came into him with, I think, 2 scouts at the tail end of that Uber, and he managed to play the health kit, survive long enough to kill one of the scouts that was Ubered a second prior. And then obviously they were overextended with the medic and scout out of position. Olga had died on the shutter from, I think, Sui and Opti, so then the rest of them come back in. And again, really nice push there overall from MONGI mode.
It just seems like another one of those positions where, yeah, they went from their last to the enemy's last in about 20 seconds. Deep bombs now from Opti and Mathis. These sync kind of focus fire is just so good. They pick up Raph, they pick up Karnax now. It is 3v4, so it doesn't look like they're going to really be able to contest this too much. Duo's going to try and make something happen, at least get some vision towards the flank. So really fast mid, and a bit of an opportunity for the Frenchies again. It seems to be like these mids are fairly equal, but in terms of the long plays, it seems to be MONGI mode kind of leading the charge a lot.
Yeah, and they're just going to be standing on attic, kind of passively positioned until the rest of their team gets to them. It looks like they're joining them now, so they're going to hold up at choke. And now we're going to see ourselves in the first real stalemate of the game. Last time it didn't last very long, but I'd imagine this one might take a bit longer. No off-classing just yet. Turret playing quite close to the choke, as is Olga. Not too much going on the flank for either team right now.
No, it is actually both soldiers on the French side playing towards choke as if to kind of maybe just try and get some spam, try and take some position. Duo's going to be jumping in, getting one little rocket onto turret, but oh, significant damage. I mean, you see the way they're playing is just incredibly confident. So Thomas is going to go in. They're going to go for actually a dirty little trade here. Much later used for Mula here, but is there really anything that Raph can do? He tries to sticky people out, but that's not really going to happen in this repush. It is a potential at this point. Duo is just only spawning, reaching the rest of his team, but it looks like, at least for the time being, MONGI mode is going to chill things out. I mean, they do have 2 rounds up. I mean, they don't exactly have to make crazy things happen here. It's a fairly secure position, really.
Yeah, it was good that as they went for the trade, they had a very deep control of the enemy big door. So they were quite pushed up, which gave them the option, if they wanted to wrap around. And when they reset back into second, it meant that they had enough space to work with and they weren't under pressure from either side.
We do have a pause now, Nuze. Do not panic. You're not lagging again. We're all good. Don't worry.
I did think for a second. Am I lagging? Am I lagging? But yes. So we are just paused. What can we infer then from this pause at this moment? Eepily, it's a stalemate.
There was some talk about turret potentially having some dodgy net. Kind of, there was some discussion of that in between games. So I don't know if maybe we're seeing turrets kind of a router explode about 90 seconds in the future, but it's always possible. And I feel like, honestly, from the French side, that would be the absolute best thing that could happen. Bring someone in who's not warmed up, who's not quite ready to go, and kind of start trying to get some momentum here. But, that's a big guess to make there. In terms of this exact moment right now, you see Frenchies trying to build up this Uber a little bit. They have Alien and their soldier trying to make something happen. I mean, I don't know. I feel like the Equilibre, the trades, these kind of things, it seems to be that the control is too much the side of MONGI mode. I feel like this flank can get worked a little bit more than it currently is. We've seen some fairly standard holds, some fairly standard kind of, sack attempts through choke. It seems to be that big door is getting a little bit kind of ignored, and there is a bit of an opportunity to try and get some guy possibly behind, possibly, provide enough of a distraction. And really, almost impressive, throughout this entire kind of map and a half so far, we've seen no real kind of aggressive off-classes at any point.
Mm-hmm. And I think you're very much right about big door, because that was the one time that the Frenchies were able to flood through second and get onto last, was when they caught off people in big door, got in behind lobby to clean up the third frag, and Karnax made it out alive in some ridiculous fashion. So that's what has been working for them thus far, but besides that, there's been barely anyone contesting anything on big door from either side. And especially because the sacks that have come in from choke, and even when MONGI mode decided to go for a scout Uber into trade after, as opposed to counter sacking, even that didn't work. So neither team is getting really too much done as far as trying to orchestrate some kind of play on choke. It's kind of like wherever the chips fall and it ends up with something happening favoring one of the teams. It's not really going to either of their plans. So yeah, I agree with you that I think big door needs to be exploited a bit more, and I think some off-classing would be a good opportunity to do that. I think that's probably what the Frenchies were going for when they sacked Duo, but they just probably weren't expecting such an immediate repush. But the thing is, MONGI mode are in the position to do that now. I'm not sure exactly what the time was when we paused. I believe it was something around 21 minutes. But being 2 rounds up with 21 minutes left, there's still plenty of time for the Frenchies to get back into it. And I think if they do get around a 2 on the board, that tilt potential comes in, as we were talking about, and I think that probably plays into their hand. But the biggest problem I think they've had thus far is, I mean, we saw how quickly they went from attacking last to defending last, because I feel like they don't do a good job of cutting their losses and, you know, backing up from a point, keeping their medic alive, keeping important classes alive so that they can set up for the next defense. They just kind of continually crumble and continually attempt to fight, and that's how MONGI mode have been able to push with so much momentum.
I think that's really, really key. It was more or less exactly what I was going to say a moment ago. That, I mean, you never get in a situation where you move from your last to their last with, you know, the other team playing perfectly, right? That there's some serious positions where you can at least slow them down, get some kind of opportunity to, you know, get a kind of, you know, at least build up your Uber, at least kind of delay them a little bit, and usually at least get Uber on your second. I don't know. Definitely not the full commit, hoping for the best, and just kind of, I don't know, trusting in MONGI mode to make mistakes, because, you know, by no means are they playing absolutely perfectly, but they're playing in such a way as to expect this kind of aggressive kind of, I don't know, just feeding in almost like one by one. We saw before, like you said, you know, we had Raf jump in, he got killed, then another guy was in, then another guy was in, you know, one's hiding in drop down after 2 players have already died, and it's like, not a pug. You can't really play it like that when these guys seem to really kind of know what they're doing. I think, realistically, if a third round goes the way of MONGI mode, I think, you know, we're hearing all this stuff in terms of like crazy off classes. We've got to see something completely different to mid, something completely like radical to like change things up, you know? Not like, if it needs to be done in the way of, you know, running an off class to mid, so be it. Whatever makes your team play in a different way. Because the current way things are happening, it's going to be just more and more control going the way of MONGI men.
Yeah, I'd agree. And it's, I mean, they have players that are capable, more than capable of off-classing. I mean, obviously, Hugo's notorious for it, but you've also got Karnex and Alien Smiley, who are both very capable snipers. Raf's also not too bad with a rifle in his hand. That being said, just as a quick tangent, I got a message from Yak. So the pause was because one of the players of the Frenchies dropped. Apparently it was a comms issue, but then he disconnected from the server, so we're just going to be waiting until we have an update on that, I guess. I don't know if any of those players have a history of any connection problems, not that I'm aware of. But yeah, I digress. Anyway, to get back to the game at hand, I think getting some kind of off-class or a banner would be nice to see. We were talking about it a bit in the pre-game, but it was actually the MONGI mode. Correct me if I'm wrong. They were the ones who had been using the banner in some recent games, or a double banner or something like that.
I'm pretty certain it was. I mean, that was a whole 40 minutes ago. You got to give it a break here. You know, that was years ago. But yeah, the concept of bringing out these banners and trying to kind of, you know, play with it. I mean, right now, as much as this is the majority of kind of how the game mode will get played across the kind of divisions, there's, you know, if it's not working for you, you need to make something different happen. You've got to have a bit more of a game plan than we'll sack and we'll make them use and then everything will be fine, because that's just, it's just, yeah, that isn't really how things are working. Either way, right, we have unpaused, so we get this opportunity to try and build up these Ubers, try and make something advantageous happen for the Frenchies. Like you said, there's about 22 minutes left on the clock, so by no means is this team completely out of it, but they just need to try and get something different happening, you know, get some kind of position, you know, go kind of move forward, kind of, you know, not necessarily aggression, but some kind of momentum. Big Draw this time does look like they've been hearing us, clearly. I mean, they're moving towards Big Draw, they're trying to take some position, they're denying at least some of these stickies. Raf at least trying to get a little bit of pressure onto Yak and the Scout here, and through choke the soldier comes now. One rocket's going to be decent, but it's not really going to be enough. I mean, it's a micro thing, but Turret's little kind of dodging of not quite the full rocket is being really, really important in so many of these fights. Now, 2 players are going to get forced in to get this Uber off on the side of the Frenchies, and now Turret will be using his own, so his players are going to be trying to move towards choke. Alien's all the way behind Karnex as well as winning a 1v1, so this might actually be a little bit of an opportunity.
Yak is doing a good job of holding the choke, though. Raf goes down and Mula's not going to be able to come back in. Volka's just been trying to get ammo up top, and he's just not been able to. just manages to make it out alive from Big Door, as Karnax does as well. So the two of them quite lucky in that they were caught off. But surprisingly enough, even though Mula was disconnected from a heal target, there wasn't really much of a lack in Uber building. And we did actually see, wow, I guess that was when the pause happened, and Torret, I don't know if he killed down or something.
There's no way he did, right?
But Torret just dropped. Well, it sounded like he dropped Uber, but yeah, Torret just died, and Karnax gets the frag onto Sweet. So chaos ensues, equally.
Absolute chaos. I mean, there was confusion, and I had absolutely no idea. Right, either way, Frenchies are going to try and move through choke by reason of they have a medic and the other team does not, but even still, it's not really super smooth. Now, Alien Mula, they're going to be moving forward. Two just needs to stay alive here. He needs to make sure he gets his position up top, and it's going to be fine. Okay, they've taken control of point. They're going to have a bit of an advantage to play off here. Actually, quite a significant one here. Does look like Tara's only on about 40%, whereas Mula's ready to go from River. This full Uber advantage effectively, but going to be all on how successfully can they try and get through this upper lobby into Shutter, into a kind of successful land switch, because it isn't the easiest thing in the world, you know? Even if they take this gun down, this delay from the side of the Frenchies might be a little bit difficult. So through main they've gone. This Pyro's not really going to do anything, playing too close towards Shutter to really deny things effectively. Ofti losing his life, but not before Dwo at least get picked up. Raf as well going down, so I mean it's 4v4, but it's always going to kind of favor the defending team, but not really when Torret's not healing. I mean, so spreading. It's a weird way to get around, but hey, it works.
Yeah, I think it was quite lucky, to be honest. It's a similar trend to what we've seen before. The plan A never really works for the Frenchies, and the plan B is not quite fully fledged. So it didn't seem like they really scouted out where Pyro was or where any off classes were on that last event. They came in, they didn't kind of do too much, but they managed to get players underneath and secure the point in the end. That being said, that doesn't matter now going into this mid, as they've got one round on the board. Big high bomb from Olga and Mathis, both of them going to take some damage. Duo dies early. Soldier bomb coming in from Mathis. He's surely going to die here. He's so weak, but manages to meet up with Torret. Karnax and Olga are both on the floor, so high ground is favoring MONGI mode just now as they clean up Olga, and they recognize that Karnax is behind, so they're going to be able to look forward a little bit. Opti did try to get onto Mula, but he's going to get cleaned up by Raf. So now we're going to see both medics staying alive, managing to make it to last and second respectively. Karnax with a late death there, so 5v5, and we'll see how this last hold plays out.
Yeah, shout out to Sui on that mid. He did great pressure while the rest of the team was a little bit weak, and they're going to be trying to move through Shutter here. So this is Yak and Thomas trying to take some position. Pyro eventually goes, how many gets dropped? That's really not good at all, and so much time is going to bring all of these French players towards the point. The Uber's now basically faded, and Sui's actually still full health behind point. This repush really could be on. Dwo is actually so weak, just having to spam rockets down, not really achieving anything. These soldiers are jumping in as well. Math is hitting some crispy rockets. You see all of these French players towards the ground. As long as they can play slow, the pipes are coming up from Yak, and that's going to be a 3-1.
Yeah, so that was unexpected. I think it was a good call from MONGI mode, being that they were one round up. They'd only just got into a position of a stalemate, and rather going for the traditional, sack, counter sack, play all the off-classing, that kind of thing. They're going for, you know what, let's just get the Ubers out of the way and we'll play it by ear from there. And it ended up working out for them, I think, almost purely because it caught them off.
I think so, and going into this mid again, Opti is going to be trying to get behind, trying to make something early happen. This first frag, this second frag, and it just looks like, yeah, Mula's going to be so far forward. Nice little surf to begin with, but they're going to be playing smart here. They're going to focus on frags that matter at this point. Mula trying to escape through Big Door, and actually Yak is running all the way around the choke. Mula's actually going to somehow possibly escape or link up with the scout. I have no idea what's going on. This is really scrappy.
Yak's hiding.
I mean, okay, this is just aggression from Yak. He picks up Alien and actually gets a little bit of decent damage here. He's still actually alive somehow. Oh my god, please. Oh. Good god.
Oh, that was bad. As he was walking in choke there, he didn't get spotted, so he decided to creep round into elbow and jump from there. It almost worked out for them. Oh, and Dwo gets in onto Torret. Nice jump, catching him off there. He's 1 HP as he gets a rocket off onto Thomas. But that should favour the Frenchies if they can get Mula back into a healing position, as they're now trying to contest second. Opti going to take some damage, but just going to retreat up to Attic, so he's relatively safe. I let me just check how much. Mula does actually have a full Uber charge, and Torret is only just spawned, so this is the first second real chance that they have to get a decent round on the board here.
Yeah, they're still going to have a Pyro to deal with, same as before, and they have a Heavy as well, and it does look like they can be moving towards the river, so a little bit of an easier push as Pyro, again, just only getting there in time. Really important, but he's going to be dying really early on. As long as they can deal with this Heavy as well, take some of this position, yeah, the damage is so good, but actually 2 frags from Opti. That's so good. This kind of flank picks, he's getting a 3rd as well. This is kind of ridiculous, really, and he lives through all of that. He does right at the end. He will die to Mula, and Mula's caught here. Yeah, going to get piped down as well by Yak, and I mean, straight up, I'm calling that last save by Opti.
Yeah, absolutely. A big clutch play coming in. I'm not sure where he went to not get caught or to just not be seen by anyone, but manages to get so much damage in 2 burst frags and then 1 a little bit after that. In any case, my HUD is back, so it's going to be a lot easier to cast this Torret, walking in with the rest of his team on a big Uber advantage. Olga was trying to hide and get something going, but he's not going to be able to do anything for it. Alien is really deeply committed, does manage to get Yak, who is on the floor. It's looking a bit chaotic, but
it is
potentially something for Frenchies to do here.
Yeah, Rasmus hitting some really crucial pipes here. Now, he will actually go down to this full Uber, and I mean, again, Mula's going to be playing in such a position as to get taken down. Thomas is taking this Uber on his back and trying to make things happen. It's going to be a little bit dodgy for Tora, but oh my god, no, that rocket's so crucial. They're juggling him up and getting him into that doorway, so he will actually die. Thomas wasn't quite finished, but he will eventually go down himself in this height. It is on the side of the Frenchies. They're going to be getting their medic spawner now, so they should possibly be able to keep control of this point, unless Opti and Mathers want to try and do something about it, but I don't think they can, realistically speaking.
Opti was just standing in big door, shooting rockets at the air for a bit too long, and then gets caught as he was retreating with his escape plan. So not the best play from Opti after he made a great play earlier on. Swee's actually going to probably get caught, unless he can make it back point, but he can't. Everyone from MONGI mode are just going to have to retreat here. Even though they've not got a huge disadvantage, they really had no position to contest second. If Sui was with them, then perhaps Opti actually gets another frag and stays alive. This man is hot and cold. He's almost jukes Alien, but Alien's going to make it out after getting that frag. So 2 down for the Frenchies, only Opti down for MONGI mode, but about a 40% advantage for the Frenchies. Let's see if they can do something here with the player deficit.
Yeah, Raf is screaming right now. Sui behind is actually going to 2-shot Karnak, so this Uber is going to be solely focused on just 1 demo and 1 scout. They will even have to back up now. Sui still causing absolute carnage on the backlines, and I mean, one player basically denied the entire Uber, bought his team a position just to walk straight out through possibly Shutter or more conventionally through top. But no, it will be a Shutter push. It will be going super deep. Mula though, nice little surf all the way into drop down, so going to be living as well. These 2 players down on the side. No, the back cap.
Alien, I guess, just found some gap from River because there was no one there, and Sui had only just spawned a bit too late. I'm not sure where the gap was, but credit to Alien. That's going to be something that annoys. If I was in Yak's position and we just pushed out, I jumped in, got a sticky on the medic, and I got annoyed that he managed to surf into drop down, and then we get back capped. I would be pretty furious if I was Yak. So let's see if that plays into this mid.
You'd be furious, Nuze. You'd be shouting at team. I know what you're like, right? So this is now looking like possibly momentum on the side of the Frenchies. These early bombs doing some decent damage. Droll not really making things happen though. Every opportunity you got slammed into a wall, and more and more players are going to be going down here. Really clean mid from the side of MONGI mode, and it kind of seemed like it wasn't even really all on them, just some big mistakes from the French side. Losing anyone else here would be really disastrous. Olga going down just seems entirely unnecessary, and this Uber's going to be up any second now on Mula with the rest of his players, but he's already in low. We've already seen it work really well before. These other players towards River, Mathers jumping in. Knows that the medic's all the way in spawn, exactly the same again. He's actually playing there, but he's going to have to lose his life, and he will. The rest of his team, though, all the way back through top, and they can just play chill.
And they cleaned up both soldiers for that, so they're in a decent position to push out here. They don't. Now they've been able to recognize that there's no stickies on the shutter. Sui going in really deep. Karnak's not even aware that he's there. And they're looking to wrap around. Torret and Thomas and Yak are quite deep into River. But now that the spawners are coming in for the Frenchies, it looks like they're just gonna... Oh, actually they're committing here easily.
They actually don't care at all. They've just Ubered straight in. Mula, much better Uber. It's going to be Thomas still playing towards point. He's actually getting a lot of time already. That's absolutely insane. Oh my god, they have to go back for him. But the repush now with this player kind of positioning, doesn't quite look like this immediate repush is going to be on, but I mean, they still have chances. All this cap time, and that's just going to be Opti jumping straight on point then, I guess. What?
Opti has had some pretty insane moments thus far. I think that was one of the easier ones to execute after Thomas just got way too much time. The Frenchies should never have allowed that much cap time, even considering he was just standing on the point and he wasn't fighting anyone, he wasn't pressured by the enemy, or he was just really separate from his team, and he managed to get so much cap time that Opti was able to just walk in and win them the round.
Really, really weird. 4-2 now, so a little bit more of a buffer on the side of MONGI mode, but they're losing a player now, and this mid, a little bit difficult. The damage has been done, and Yak is so crucial. He can't push forward with his team. Swee's going to try and make up for it, and this one pipe is making things a little bit easier. There's actually going to be a 2v3. Sui has to do so much here, and it doesn't look like he's really going to be able to, because he's just stuck in this corner. Torret's going for swords. He's falling down, and I mean, these shots from Sui, almost, it was potential that something could happen there. But in all of that, that was just a distraction that Torret needed to get out there. So, wasn't healing a little bit, but realistically, by the time the Frenchies start getting through choke, this uber advantage is barely going to matter.
I can't help but think the Frenchies could have played that a bit better. It was just Sui and Torret alive, and Torret managed to make it out alive. They had way more time to play that, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Now we're back into that position of the even Uber stalemate on mid to second. And let's see if the Frenchies can try and do something a bit different and perhaps get some off-classing in, but we've really not seen much of that at all outside of last thus far. Olga going to go in, not going to get anything for his efforts. Are we going to see that aggressive Uber trade coming out from MONGI mode?
I mean, it's a potential there. They've got 9 minutes left to go. It looks like they want to try to, but they lose that Opti literally just before they go in. Woe does go down on the French side, so it makes things a little bit easier in terms of these flank pushes. Uber's going to be fading any second. Raf's going to be trying to lock down this choke point as much as possible. He has to at this point. If they get through the choke point, that's really... It is just going to cause them to lose the mid, and it does look like with all these trading players, Torret and his gamers, they're just going to be chilling a little bit. They know... Okay, you know, it didn't go absolutely fantastically, but hey, in about 40 seconds we'll be able to do the same thing again. Frenchies, though, they don't want to wait that long. They want to move towards Big Door. Yak getting some decent damage here, but they're actually taking a decent amount of damage themselves. Raf very nearly goes down there. The flank push didn't quite work, but hey, no players were lost. They have time to arrow up, they have time to buff up and start trying to make something happen again. It's definitely a more proactive way of spending these kind of, you know, off-Uber moments.
Yeah, that fight on Big Door could have gone either way. Both teams were in a decent position, but Yak was just about 3 seconds faster than Raf was, and he had so much more damage output, so much more area control, whereas Raf really didn't do much there. So Yak getting the better of Raf in that exchange and managed to shut down that aggression on Big Door. In any case, now it's even Uber's. Opti actually was really weak in lower. Alien's going to try and peek in there. They know that 2 players of MONGI mode are in the shutter, so they've got 4 players on second to worry about. They're looking for the trade here. Get some damage onto Yak, but Torret doesn't need to flash thus far. Olga's going to die at the tail end of that. Raf stickies fall from the ceiling to shut down any final aggression from MONGI mode. But they are going to look to rotate fast to choke. Duo is a sitting duck here if they can get in here, but it looks like an equally good rotation is coming out from the Frenchies.
I mean, it is, apart from they're kind of sensing that position isn't quite there. They're actually looking like they want to try and concede this, but no, Mula dies again. Alien now as well from these stickies from Yak, and I mean, I feel like Raf definitely recognized it. You could see him playing on the backside of point like, guys, maybe we can, but Mula was still in this corner. It's such a crucial mistake, and it could possibly cost a round here. Karnax is trying to make some fights happen on the flank, but Sui's going to be having none of it. He knows he's on basically no health. It's not going to make any difference.
We do have Olga Spy behind the point.
We do. This is his only real opportunity to make anything happen, and unfortunately it didn't work, and now that's just going to be another player down in terms of these Frenchies moving forward onto last here from MONGI mode here. So huge advantage, huge player advantage. They have everything they could possibly want going through main to avoid this pyro. They see this heavy towards the top right. He's going to basically do nothing, and there's no stickies on point. Thomas is just going to play it, forcing all of these players down, and that looks like it's going to be a 5-3 with about 6 minutes 30 left to go. Sorry, 5-2. Ignore me.
Yeah, they've been doing, again, they're looking stronger and stronger. It's the same as what happened on Product. It looks like they're just more and more familiar. I think really the Frenchies should have been able to hold that. They didn't really have anyone spotting deep at the choke, so they weren't aware of the rotation, and when they were, they didn't commit. They took way too long to decide whether to back up and hold it, or to back up and give it up, or to contest. And that's what ended up causing Mula to die.
We see this right side aggression from the Frenchies, losing one player early. These bombs are just making everything happen, and Opti, he's just standing on the floor just like, oh my god, he's taking the air shots as well. He absolutely doesn't care. He'll lose his life, but not before, well, only a little bit before Mula loses theirs. So, I mean, both soldiers died, but for 6 other players, it seemed to be another situation where the bombs from MONGI mode is just about 3 times better than the counterparts in the enemy team, and it shows in terms of not only these mid-fights, but in terms of these transitions. The distractions they're getting are so key.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to get something going by going up the right side instead of the left, but it really didn't make much of a difference to MONGI mode. They're now in a position to take the Uber in from lower. Yak clears the stickies. The scout actually dies to a body shot. This is going to make it so much harder for Yak. He gets this sentry gun, but he's going to back up into River, so a good positional adjustment from him there. Olga now actually in mid-lobby as they do get the frag onto Duo. Olga's going to be in onto Turret, gets one rocket, gets the second, and he might be able to clean up Yak as well, so really nice flank there from Olga. Going to be the saving grace of that, going to give him the opportunity to push out. Mathis is really weak, Swee's going to die. They might be able to deny 3 spawners here if they get the stack going, so they should have some momentum going forward into mid.
Unless, of course, the spy from Tomas can try and get something done. He gets a lot of vision. He's kind of calling this info for his team. He knows, you know, exactly what's happening. So Opti can be 100% certain of exactly what's happening. Uber's now up, and he's getting... Oh my god, we're getting face stabs. And Mula even uses to that. I mean, that's some serious fear of the revolver there. We're still on about, you know, 60 plus HP. I don't even think the revolver can do that much damage at that range. But hey, it doesn't really matter. This spy's still behind, threatening this kind of backup, but realistically, the rest of MONGI mode's not going to look to commit onto this point, not after losing Yak as well. So, a tiny bit of advantage, but the Frenchies should still be able to get in on this second. They know there's a spy behind. Once again, Opti trying to make something happen on the flank, as he so often does, but they should be able to secure the second and just start looking forward here.
The spy! He's back! There's so much pressure on Mula right now, but he's not actually taking that much damage, so it's just going to be free frags for the Frenchies. There's 3 minutes and 44 left on the timer. They do have a 20% disadvantage, so I don't think they're going to be able to get onto last well with an Uber, but if they can get frags just before the players have respawned, then maybe they've got a chance.
Oh my lord. I mean, Opti just has Duo's number in every situation here. That exchange on River is just... That's just been this entire game, I feel. Every single one of these positions where it's like, you know, it could go either way, it always goes Opti's way. So we do actually have a trade here coming up. We have a lot of off-classing on the side of MONGI mode. Raf's going to go down here, so's Alien as well. Mula in all of this, still dying, and Olga now as well. This is absolutely kind of a little bit ridiculous. It's only Karnax. He is actually hiding in lower. He has to get 3 crisp shots on his heavy and on Matters as well, but it's just not going to happen at all. I think, you know, Olga wants to call it now. It's GG, but I feel like we're not quite just there yet, you know? Duo finally picking up this frag onto Opti makes something happen here, and I mean, Alien's going to be sniping. Maybe that's not exactly what you want when you're trying to, you know, repush towards point here, but I mean, they have a chance. They have player advantage. Raf's trying to go in.
Olga and Mula are committing to it as well, but I think that MONGI mode are wise to it now, so it's just going to be pretty weak as they are opting to run through choke, as they know that 3 of the players of the Frenchies were on the floor. They got into second for free. They're not going to get any more frags for this, but Raf is dead. How much more do they really need? Mathis cleans up Karnax towards the end. Alien's going to try and get the trade frag on the escape plan soldier, but he's going to die as well. Olga on about 20 HP. He's going to be the 3rd in that calamity of defense, and Raf gets a sticky trap kill, but that's really not going to be worth it, as this surely is going to be the 6th round on the board for MONGI mode.
Yeah, it's basically impossible unless Karnak suddenly becomes the best player in the game, but unfortunately didn't happen just yet. And yeah, it's 1 minute 50. That's a 4-round deficit, and I don't think even the legendary Bite himself would state that that's possible. So unfortunately, this is going to be looking to be 6 fairly swift points for the side of MONGI mode here. And if we look at the rounds that they lost, I mean, there's one you could almost attribute to Turret dying, one right at the start of Viaduct as well, which was, you know, definitely seemingly not quite in their groove, and it almost felt like, you know, there was only a few kind of key opportunities where the Frenchies were really able to kind of convert all of their advantages. I mean, this last mid, we're finally seeing the Olga heavy to mid and genuine point. I feel like maybe they should have just talked about earlier. There's all these talks, you know? Why didn't we get to see it in the proper game?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because it's probably one of the closer mids that they've had thus far on this map. Mula getting one frag onto one scout. Can he get the second? No, he can't. One thing I really liked there actually was Karnak. He rolled out to his own big door on sniper and then proceeded to see a scout on the floor, and he chased him under the point and continued to chase him and just walked slowly behind him unscoped until he got to the enemy big door, at which point he decided, you know what, this is a decent place to snipe from. So he was just sniping from the enemy big door throughout that mid, and he actually gets another frag as he comes back in.
This is going to be in the frag videos. No one has to pay attention to how much time is left in the thing, you know? This is absolutely fine. Karnax is going to make things happen. Someone just stand still for him. Absolutely not happening.
I think he just headshot Sweet there, I'm not too sure. Olga going to be doing big things in this lower heavy. But yeah, you know, I mean, GG's going to be called. There's 10 seconds left, so that's going to be it. The players are now disconnecting from the server. All in all, dominant performance from MONGI mode. It was even in the first round of product, and they figured out what was going on there. And similar story here on Gully. They were confident throughout, in control. They lost a round pretty much to Torret disconnecting. Or sorry, no, they didn't lose a round there. They defended. I'm not sure where the 2 rounds came from. One of them was the spy back cap, I know that much. But yeah, they not really much that the Frenchies did there to contest MONGI mode. So they're getting their first points for the season. It's going to be nice leaving the Frenchies in that relegation zone.
It is. So it's definitely going to be difficult for them going forward. We do have some lovely little logs we can look at. You know, it's kind of 6-2, and usually we kind of say the logs aren't going to matter hugely in terms of, you know, these kind of high round difference wins. But considering one of the rounds was basically based on kind of, you know, the Frenchies basically stating GG and kind of saying they were done, it was only really about a 5-2. So there's a lot we can take away. I mean, right now I feel like Yak with the whole 33 for 8, that's fairly significant.
Wow. Yeah, you don't see that. You don't see that very much.
You don't see that much.
Same deaths as his medic. 26% heals, not even anywhere near that high. Wow, like very low damage taken. I don't remember the last time I've seen a demo more than double their damage taken in their damage dealt. So really good performance from Yak. I mean, Gully Wash, it's a demo map, what can you do? But yeah, he looked very comfortable throughout that. Thomas as well with a lot of frags on the board, 30 for 15. Not really any bad numbers from anyone from MONGI mode. I thought the soldiers did a pretty good job. I mean, especially Opti had some good clutch moments. As far as the Frenchies are concerned, not great from Duo, 14 for 26. Olga, 17 for 25. Again, that's not ideal as far as pocket goes. I feel like the soldiers had a much harder time. But yeah, mid-fights were pretty even throughout. Trading back and forth. I think it was really just a case of the core of the team being kind of way more in tune for MONGI mode. The disparity in medic deaths isn't as bad as map 1, 8 for Torret and 12 for Mula, as opposed to 6 and 17. But I think
it's better, but you know, still not quite ideal. I think the biggest thing which to me was important here was just there was some significant lack of punish, and I felt like MONGI mode just had free reign to kind of try whatever they wanted. You know, we had kind of trades, we had, you know, a variety of different situations where they'd kind of off Uber and, you know, do this, do that. But whenever the Frenchies tried anything, it just kind of, yeah, they were just hit by an absolute brick wall of deny. But I mean, we can ask some of them about it. We do have an absolute boatload of players. I believe we have Yak, Torret, Thomas, we have Mathes, and we have Olga, I believe, all coming to come get interviewed. How's it going?
Yow.
Stop lads. So, first question goes to Yak. How did you destroy so hard? That's what I want to know.
Right, Thomas is convinced that I baited the team. Yeah, Thomas is convinced I baited the team. I'm just convinced I'm a fucking tank, so, you know. And I got loads of heals. I got loads of heals, so you know, it's mental. It's mental.
We're just letting the kid live his delusions, you know.
Yeah.
Torret, another question for you, my man. Saw a bit of BM in the chat. Is it true you killbound out of disrespect during that pause?
Yeah.
No,
I don't,
no,
I
we
really
were in
don't-
the cause, and Torrit was typing so much in the chat that he hit his kill bind whilst fucking typing and died. He was like, "Oh, I should be okay," and then died. You know,
I just-
And then they
it was
push
unpaused.
off it.
And
I
then
just
they
don't
pushed.
need, and then we win. I just
I
don't need
think-
to be alive for us
I think
to
that
win.
was my first death or my second death after that. I was really upset. I just, yeah.
And just to point out, damage taken 7777 for Math's luckiest player on the server. Eepily, do you have any questions for these guys, or Olga, who has not been quite quiet so far?
Yeah, I think. Okay, let's cast our minds back all the way to the very beginning, the first round on Viaduct. Obviously, we were a little bit surprised. We didn't see the game before. In terms of, obviously, the Frenchies were playing with a very different roster for Viaduct than any other map. In terms of that first round, what was that feeling like? There was so much more control from the French side, and it almost seemed like from there things were just going to start, really building up momentum. But then MONGI Mo just starts kind of, moving things forward. What do you think really happened there between the first round and the second round?
I don't really know. We were a bit disappointed because we had a really good scrim against Series. I think that on the first round we were quite calm. We were quite happy to annoy Yak in the chat.
I wasn't even
Okay.
annoyed. I just thought that you were being retards.
To be honest, the only French control here was in the hands of Opti. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, Opti had some great plays on both maps. Had some funny moments as well, but he seemed to be in control, especially on Product, which you don't see often from a roamer. But credit to him, I felt like, and I think Eepily will echo my comments on this, I feel like there was quite a difference in the soldiers on both maps. It seemed like Duo and Raf struggled a bit on Product, and the same could be said of you, Olga, on map 2. Was that quite different to how Gully Wash usually goes for you as a pocket?
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Like the fact that they're playing so aggressive. Like usually, me and Duo are pretty good at set up sacks and stuff, but we didn't have the moment to do it properly. And
Yeah, it seemed... Oh, go ahead.
yeah, as you might know, we're more of a slow team, so we struggle against many really aggressive teams, such as I remember we had a scrim against Feint, so we're playing with AMS, and I believe it was been calling because they were so aggressive, like comparing to our official. And we struggle, like we got 5-0, I think in 20 minutes, something like that.
We did see those logs. Yeah, it was one thing that we were noticing as well in the mid to second stalemates. Duo would go for a sack, and where a lot of times you would expect the defending team to counter sack. MONGI Mode, you guys just went for solo Ubers on Tomas to trade. Is that something that you would normally do against other teams, or are you playing off the fact that you know that these guys like to play slow?
We thought it would be funny.
We generally like to. Well, we had been taking like just about every single fight that we could, and it had been working really well. And then it stopped working because I think people realised that's what we did. So we've always been playing quite aggro, and then now we're having to be smarter, and that's all thanks to the help of Wanzu, big coach. He's actually a tank. He's like, I think he's working on his first PhD in TF2. So pretty good.
And he's got the cutest dog.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever seen fucking, what's it called, the Shiba Inu puppy? Like, it just doesn't look like a real dog, you know? It looks like a fucking stuffed animal.
Okay. I feel like we may have gone slightly off topic here. I'm going to ask one final question, and we will actually wrap things up a little bit. Final thing is, in terms of going forward, this is for both Olga and, let's say, Yak, you've been very vocal for your team. In terms of you two guys, what is the one or two teams that you're most looking forward to playing to in the remainder of the season? We'll start with Olga.
Well, I think that obviously we are one of the weakest team this season in Prem, but I believe we can do. We can try to beat the other French team. Like we had only one scrim against them. We tied on the first map and we won Product, so we're quite happy about that. So maybe we can win. Maybe you can win them.
I believe in you guys. You know, the French derby is going to be something which hopefully I don't know which week that'll be, but I think that'll be an interesting one for people to cast, because there's obviously going to be a lot of a lot of very, very friendly BM. In terms of Yak, who are you looking forward to kind of fighting the rest of the season? Who do you think is going to be a really good game for you guys?
So I'm genuinely just looking forward to every game, but the game I'm looking forward to the most is against the Theorists, because we're pretty good friends with them, and they're also like, we like to meme each other about each other being shit, so it's like we like to just have a bit of banter, and so yeah, it's good.
Fair enough. Okay, as it is, I think it was definitely an interesting game to cast. We obviously saw some fairly dominating performances, but as always with the French team, we saw flashes of real kind of moments of glory, and not to use an overused phrase. Let's move straight through to some of the shout outs. Olga, anyone you want to give a quick little shout out to before we round things out?
Shout out to my team, shout out to Yak's team. There's no BM, just a psychological aspect. Shout out to Pauline, and shout out to you guys for casting.
Good stuff. Mathers, anyone you want to give some love to?
A little bit to Capo Car, maybe a bit to Opti. That's it, thanks.
Fair. Tomas?
Shout out to definitely Capocar, Seeds, all of the Theorists, Yak for baiting, and Wandu.
And over to Torret?
Shout out to Wansu. He's been a big help, and shout out to all my mates. I love them all.
Fair enough. And Yak?
So shout out to Johnny May and Owen Farrell for putting in a big performance at the weekend, fucking smashing the French 44-8. Big performance. And shout out to Wanzu for helping us smash the French.
Fair enough. Nuze, who do you want to give some love to, considering this is February the 14th, but I hear it is a significant date for some reason.
Lovely day indeed. Shout outs to obviously Crever and MONGI Mode for giving us a decent game today. Shout outs to Beater on production and you, main man eepily, my co-caster, and shout outs to whoever follows me on Twitter. I will be streaming for the first time in a long time this weekend with some demo reviews, so feel free to send me some demos if you want to see that analysed.
Fair enough. I'll do final little shout outs. Obviously, it's always good casting with you, Nuze. It's always great having Beta whispering in our ears when we miss important things, and obviously doing a great job with production. Our players were great. It's always good to have interesting interviews. It's always good kind of seeing good games, but also seeing the thought process behind it. So thanks for obviously all the players for playing. Obviously, people in chat watching and talking mad trash when things happen. But yeah, I don't know, more or less anyone who's involved in TF2 stuff. Shout out to you guys. I think we're going to be back on. I think our next game is going to be Sunday. I think with one of the later week 3 games. But stay tuned to the TFTV Twitter and obviously TFTV itself, and you'll hear all of that information. Obviously, I've been eepily joined with Nuze and Beta, and this is our space.